Hi there, everybody. I'm Dr. Leanne Kalaba, DC from Lifeline Wellness Center, and I'm bringing you the next video in our series. So if you haven't been watching the Do Your Part series, I want you to, once this video is over, go back and check out all the great videos and the information that we're offering to you. So now is a time when you want to rely on a solid foundation, one that you can depend on to keep you feeling sane and still making progress towards your health goals. So you'll find that solid and time-tested foundation that you can depend on inside Lifeline Wellness Center. So today, I want to give you a high-level overview of osteoporosis. This is definitely something we hear about in the office quite a bit, and there are certainly things you can do for yourself concerning osteoporosis, even as a young person and as you age. And I want to make sure you know what those are. So osteoporosis is estimated to affect 200 million women worldwide. So this includes approximately 1/10 of women aged 60 or older, 1/5 of women aged 70, and 2/5 of women aged 80. 2/3 of women aged 90. So the trend here, and you'll hear a little bit more about this later, is it affects women a lot more than men. In addition, osteoporosis causes more than 8.9 million fractures every single year. What this boils down to is a potential fracture every 3 seconds. So let's do a high-level overview of osteoporosis. Osteoporosis means porous bone, and it's a condition in which the density and quality of the bone are reduced. So as bones become more porous, you increase your risk of fracture significantly. But people don't usually know there's an issue until they actually have a fracture. So our bones are made from living tissue and are always changing. They grow and strengthen from birth to young adulthood, reaching their most dense state in our early 20s. So at this point, bones begin a process called remodeling, which occurs when old bone cells begin to dissolve, while new bone cells start to form in their place. So this is actually how bones stay nice and strong. It's what's supposed to happen. You take out the old worn bone cells and you replace it with new bone cells, or new infrastructure, if you will. So for people with osteoporosis, bone loss, or that breakdown, happens faster than the rebuilding part does. So this is what causes the bones to become more porous and more likely to fracture. So it's estimated that, like I said, osteoporosis-related fracture happens about every 3 seconds, most commonly in the hip, in the spine, and in the wrist. So it's never too early to start making changes to support healthy, strong bones. But the risks that you face do increase as we age. So it's important to get started early. So people used to think that osteoporosis was inevitable as you age, but today we know we have some options when it comes to preventing, detecting, and addressing osteoporosis. So most of it involves making lifestyle changes. Exercise, gender, heredity, race, diet, and hormone levels still play a role in keeping your bones healthy throughout life, but you definitely have a say in the matter. So I want to discuss what measures you can take to protect and nourish your body so that your bones can stay strong and healthy. So let's start with exercise. Many studies have shown that people who are physically fit have higher bone mineral density and stronger bones than those who are inactive. So regular exercise actually can reduce the risk of falls by about 20%, and that helps reduce the risk of fractures by about 50%. So for people with osteoporosis, the main goal of physical activity should be to prevent falls by improving general health, balance, muscle strength, posture, and stability. So studies show that certain types of exercise can minimize the loss of bone mass density, which can help the bone help with both prevention and treatment of osteoporosis. So what kind of exercises are those? Those are weight-bearing activities. They're the best at helping bone mass and strength. So the term weight bearing generally means moving against gravity while remaining upright. In younger people, this will help to increase their bone mass density, thus reducing their risk of osteoporosis later in life. And so the best exercises for decreasing the risk of developing osteoporosis are things like walking, jogging, and dancing, and then strength training. So strength training can include weightlifting, push-ups, wall push-ups, and squats. So strength training helps improve your bone health by putting a strain on the bones, which helps make them stronger, because your body is really smart. And when there's a strain on the bones, your body's actually going to lay down more of the bony material. So as your body adapts to each new level of weight, you'll need to increase resistance in order to continue improving bone strength. And there are additional exercises such as swimming and cycling, which help improve your cardiovascular fitness, can also help build muscle strength, but they're not quite as effective as the weight-bearing exercises. What are you doing to exercise to help your build strong, healthy bones? And the next step after exercises, as most of you can probably guess, is diet and exercise, right? So is your diet helping or harming you? Our bodies require essential micronutrients to keep operating in a healthy way. So when you eat a nutrient-dense diet, while cutting back on anti-nutrients like sugar, you can actually prevent the deficiencies and boost your nutrient content. So here's a breakdown of fruits and vegetables to keep in your diet to ensure that you're getting an adequate amount of nutrients. In general, I always recommend eating twice as many vegetables as fruit. So we're going to start with magnesium. Great sources are spinach, beet greens, okra, tomato products, artichokes, plantains, potatoes, sweet potatoes, collard greens, and even raisins. Potassium, tomato products, raisins again, potatoes, spinach, sweet potatoes, papaya, oranges, bananas, plantains, and prunes. Vitamin C is also really important for bone health. A great source of vitamin C are bell peppers, red and green bell peppers, oranges, grapefruit, broccoli, strawberries, Brussels sprouts, papaya, and pineapple. And then we have vitamin K, mostly dark leafy greens like kale, collard greens, spinach, mustard greens, turnip greens, and then my favorite are Brussels sprouts. So people tend to assume that boosting their calcium intake will ensure strong bones, but creating an osteoporosis-friendly diet also requires refraining from things that actually leach calcium out of your bones. One of those things happens to be excess animal protein. So animal proteins are high in sulfur-containing amino acids, especially cysteine and methionine. And so sulfur is converted to sulfate, which then tends to acidify the blood. So during the process of neutralizing the acid, your bone actually dissolves a little bit into the bloodstream, creating a buffer for that, and it filters through your kidneys into your urine. So meats and eggs contains 2 to 5 times more of the sulfur-containing amino acids than are what are found in plant foods. So it doesn't mean you have to completely cut out animal proteins, but if you're concerned about osteoporosis, it is a smart choice to eat more plants and less animal foods. So sodium also encourages calcium to pass through the kidneys. So limiting your use of regular table salt could also be beneficial if you're concerned about osteoporosis. So we've talked about exercise and we've talked about diet. Let's talk about supplementation. So adequate intake of calcium and vitamin D throughout your life are important for building strong bones. And it's essential to get sufficient calcium throughout life, again, to maintain bone health. However, for some populations, such as postmenopausal women, calcium supplements may only modestly protect against osteoporosis. So to support calcium retention and absorption, there are some other vitamins and minerals that are important to incorporate. It's not all just about calcium. Magnesium, you need about 500 milligrams a day to actually metabolize calcium properly. Vitamin D3, at about 5,000 IUs a day helps improve calcium absorption. So if you're eating calcium but you're not able to absorb it, that's not going to be supportive. So vitamin D3 is important, and as well as vitamin K2. It's needed to form a protein that is critical for bone formation. And then lastly, we have strontium, about 600 milligrams a day. It's a metallic element that can help improve bone density. It's found naturally in seawater, nutrient-rich soil, and certain foods. But most people actually just take a supplement to get enough of it. And then if I think I forgot to say, for vitamin K2, you want 100 micrograms a day. So you really want to consider your diet to see exactly what supplements you could use support with. And then an interesting thing to know is that osteoporosis definitely, as I mentioned earlier, there's a disparity by gender. So being female puts you at a higher risk of developing osteoporosis and broken bones. In fact, of the estimated 10 million Americans with osteoporosis, 8 million or 80% are women. And then approximately 50% of women over 50 years of age are at risk of fracturing a bone because of osteoporosis. So there are various reasons why women are more likely to develop osteoporosis than men, including women just in general have smaller, thinner bones. And then estrogen. Estrogen is a hormone that protects bones, among many other things, but it also, when a woman goes into menopause, your amount of estrogen decreases, which can lead to bone loss. So two significant factors that can affect your chances of getting osteoporosis are simply the amount of bone that you have when you reach menopause. The greater your bone density, the less chance you have of developing osteoporosis later. And then how fast, as a woman, you lose your bone after you reach menopause. So for some women, bone loss happens faster than it does for others. In some cases, a woman can lose up to 20% of her bone density within the first decade following menopause. And so keep those things in mind. And I want to touch a little bit more next on the type of calcium. So everyone thinks of calcium when we talk about strong, healthy bones, right? It's the first thing that comes to mind, but it's important to get the right kind of calcium. So calcium absorption from vegetables is as good or better than that of milk. So if you think that you need to drink cow's milk to have strong, healthy bones, that's actually not true. Calcium absorption from milk is approximately only 32%, but figures for broccoli, Brussels sprouts, your greens, kale, the range is actually 40 to 65%, so it's significantly higher. And beans and bean products are also rich in calcium, and those can be used as a great source as well. So generally speaking, a good rule of thumb is to make sure you're eating enough greens. So, and another point I want to make here is that when you're choosing calcium supplements, I want you to avoid calcium carbonate. It actually doesn't absorb well. Instead, I prefer calcium citrate or calcium hydroxyapatite. So let's talk about soda in your bones next. We're going to make a big jump here. Because I did mention that it's not just about eating and filling your diet with things that provide calcium. It's also important to avoid things that leach your bones of the minerals. So soda. Research at Tufts University studied several thousand men and women, and they found that women who regularly drink cola sodas, at least 3 or more a day, had almost 4% lower bone mass or bone mineral density in the hip. And so certain soft drinks and sodas, especially colas, contain phosphorus in the form of phosphoric acid, which actually might be what's to blame for this. So phosphorus exists in the human body as phosphate, and like calcium, it's a significant component of bone. But if you're getting a disproportionate amount of phosphorus compared to calcium, your body might respond by chipping away at bone density. So another possible cause of this when you drink soda is simply the caffeine, because we've known for years, experts have known for years, that caffeine can interfere with calcium absorption. So are you a regular soda drinker? If so, I want you to switch out your soda for water. I know that sounds like a big jump to make, but if you're really concerned about osteoporosis, it's a small price to pay. You can add fruit to your water to give it some flavor, if that's an issue. And then, of course, as I already talked about, get plenty of weight bearing and resistance exercises to help build strong, healthy bones. So there you have it, an overview of osteoporosis and some things you can start doing for yourself today to help keep it at bay. So I hope you found this video useful. It's just in one of our series of 30 videos called Doing Your Part. And I'm Dr. Leanne Kalaba, DC, providing you with a solid foundation to help create your best health possible in the middle of uncertainty. So I hope you have a wonderful day and keep watching those videos.